the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. Attachment A.
So moved.
I'll second.
Aye.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you. The next item is the financial report, attachment B.
You have a budget amendment number 1 and resolution number 2023-01 to adjust the beginning balance of the fund and the expenditures to actual. The increase is $274.07. That will be in the income category. The decrease is $3,345, and that is the expenditure category.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we adopt OPEB trust budget amendment number 1, as well as resolution number 2023-00.
All right, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item is old business, which we have none. New business is the presentation of the van, and I'll mispronounce this, Warden, correct me, how do I say that? Warden, Associates Actuarial Valuation, which is attachment D.
So you've been presented with the actuarial evaluation for the fiscal year ending 2022. The total OPEB liability has decreased from the fiscal year ending 2021 by $77,588. The plan funding status is now at 55.9%. This is an increase from the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021, due to an increase in the discount rate. The discount rate, remember, is the interest rate used to adjust liabilities and obligations for the time value of money.
Do we need to take any action?
You just need to approve the evaluation with a motion.
I'll move that we accept the actual aerial valuation presented.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Administrators report? Okay. Commissioners' comments?
No.
All right. Our next meeting will be on June 6th, 2023 at 9 a.m. If you have a motion for adjournment,
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the monthly board meeting of the Indian River Mosquito Control District, January 10th. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Bowman could lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the election of officers. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, well, not on the agenda.
Okay, so, currently, we have, myself as board chair, Commissioner Broda is the vice chair, and, we typically will rotate, on a yearly basis, the board chair position. In this year, you would be the board chair, and I wanted to get your thoughts on how, with your experience.
I would say it's up to Anna. She has extensive experience on other boards. So if she feels comfortable and confident serving as chair, that would be wonderful. I am, of course, willing to do so.
And I think, I kind of fall in the same boat. If you would like to do it, you're up, so to speak. if, because this is new, you know, either myself or.
I think I'd rather wait 1 year.
Okay, all right. So I guess we're gonna have to, what, arm wrestle?
I'm sure you'd win at that. Need another game.
So, you know, it's usually, like I said, rotating. If we can always come back to the next year for Commissioner Kirkland. You know, if you'd like me to continue, I would, but I understand it's usually a 1-year term, so I'm gonna defer to you.
Well, I'm gonna defer to Hannah.
Then I'm gonna say, I'm gonna vote Janice and just skip me and just go to the next two.
Okay, all right. We have, so could I have a motion?
Yes, I motion that I keep Janice and skip me this year.
All right.
I'll
Motion.
second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
I'd like to clarify, so Vice Chair will be Anna Kirkland, is that the implication of that motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
And I will be secretary.
All right, the next item for consideration is the consent agenda. And under the consent agenda, the first item is the approval of the minutes in attachment A.
I move that we approve.
I second.
I'd like to request one change on the first page to better reflect the motion that was made. So we're under old business, item B, the compensation study, and the action item says staff to include language in award contract for comparison to other mosquito control programs. And likely this is what was conveyed to the company awarded the bid, but it would be Florida mosquito control programs. And my recollection is that we also spoke about getting comparisons to local governmental agencies with similar positions. So, I'll offer that as a, friendly amendment.
All right. I will move that we approve the board meeting minutes, noting the amendment to the language under Part B, compensation study to include Florida and other
Local governmental agencies.
local governmental agencies.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Financial report in attachment B is the next item. Any questions?
I have none. Typically, both of those are approved under the consent.
Since they were separate items on the agenda, I just followed the agenda.
Okay.
So have it a motion to file the financial report audit.
I'll move to approve the financial report.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Public comment. Would anybody like to make a comment? Okay, moving on to old business, and the first item of business is the strategic planning and approving the draft that's in attachment C.
Yes, ma'am. The draft of the strategic plan has been submitted for review and approval by the board. The plan includes the vision, the mission, and strategic goals developed from the town hall meeting and the strategic planning workshop with the stakeholders and partners. Upon board approval, staff will move forward with phase 3, which will involve the development of measurable and time-targeted objectives to accomplish the approved strategic goals and compiling those objectives into the draft plan. The final draft then will be submitted to the board for review and presentation, will be scheduled for the next meeting on February 14th for review and final adoption if so approved. So staff is recommending approval of the draft strategic plan and authorization to commence phase 3 of the planning process. Our consultant, Charles, is here if you have any questions or any discussion that the board entertains.
I'll make a motion that we approve the draft 5-year strategic plan.
Okay, so I would, as this process goes on, like to see the language cleaned up a little bit. I think there's some simpler and more concise ways of presenting the ideas. I'm not, and so first, under item number 1, purpose of strategic plan, the second to the last sentence reads, the plan will also provide staff with guidance and goals. The elected governing board, I believe that should be has rather than have adopted, because it's the board doing the adopting, so that's one grammatical correction. And then under A, phase 1, we've got this verbiage about key community stakeholders such as property owners, association presidents, governmental and non-governmental partners, civic club leaders. And I'm not sure that any of those stakeholders, or some of the stakeholders in those categories, were part of the process. So I'd like to request, perhaps as an addendum to this document, a list of the people who attended the December 8th general public stakeholder meeting and their affiliations, as well as the people who were present on the 15th and 16th for the 2-day strategic planning session. I'm thinking to the future, and I'm thinking that 5 years from now, that information might be useful to future boards to better understand the process of producing this document. And then I'm not sure I quite understand. Well, I guess the next phase is the measurable and time-targeted objectives. I very much look forward to seeing that part of the plan, because in my mind, that is the meat of the plan, and so it will be wonderful to have that additional information. And then moving on, under C, opportunities and development, last phrase, and development of educational and outreach programming development. Maybe just strike the last development. It seems redundant to have that word repeated. And then under vision, this is a personal gripe, I'll call it. Quality of life for our community. For me, quality of life is such a vague and overused term. So I'd like to see, if we could, for our vision to find, I'm not sure I know what embracing our environment means. And then moving down, under teamwork, our operations are more than service delivery agents. I would like to strike that whole sentence, because the people who are service delivery agents are really important to our lives and our economy. And that, reading that seemed like just a slur to those hardworking people, to me. Now, let's keep going. Moving along, under strategic goals, goal number 1, achieve sustainable funding sources with adequate reserves. Is that set the millage rate? So I was a little, hazy about that, since we are an independent taxing district and we set a millage that reflects the needs of the organization. Under goal number 3, I think ending that with outreach in a period would would be appropriate. I find utilizing our highly trained staff as just kind of like redundant and flourish. I'd like this document to be a little more, I'm gonna call it clear and hard-hitting, rather than, I'll call it flowery. And then goal number 6 is embrace environmental challenges. Is that respond to environmental challenges? For me, so I'm not sure that, at least for me, that verbiage conveys the long-term commitment of this organization to developing techniques of controlling mosquitoes, particularly permanent control, that protects our environment. So those would be my concerns.
I don't really know how to respond, because this is pretty much, and Charles, please jump in if I misspeak, pretty much what was discussed, and like going back to the vision, was pretty much what we discussed in the 2-day workshop and surmise. I mean, there's some wordsmithing possibly that we did, but I mean, give me some guidance on what you think.
Sure, Madam Chair, with your permission
Oh,
to address the body. So again, my name is Charles Chapman, for the record, CEO and owner of C4 Strategies LLC, retained by the Indian strategic planning process for the next 5 years. To commissioners' concerns here. So the way the process works is that you do have a focus group that did the heavy lifting of getting you to this point. You have a draft vision statement, you have a draft mission, you have draft core values, you have draft goals. That focus group's work is non-binding to the district because you've not voted on it yet. You have the opportunity today to make changes in light of the work the focus group did over that 2-day period. Substantively, I'm not seeing anything that really changes the purpose of what the goals are. There is, I would ask that if the vision statement is to amend the words embracing our environment and quality of life, that there be a consensus or a formal direction from the board so that the 3 of you have had a chance to say what you feel on that particular issue as the representative body. As it works with teamwork, operate more than service delivery agents, in no way or mean did, was there any intent to be discriminatory, derogatory, or any kind of a slur involved with that. That was simply taken directly from the focus group. So if it's the will of the board that you want consensus for that change and that wording to be made, then absolutely, we'll be happy to do that. Under strategic goals, I'm taking it as the first sentence of achieve sustainable funding sources with adequate reserves to address capital. I think that was more of a question rather than wordsmithing. And ergo, achieving sustainable funding sources does include your millage rate, but it also may include an impact fee structure, should that be something that you would want to look at in the future. As an example, not giving you a suggestion, but just using that as a vehicle to carry the example further. I will note, as an aside, another service that provides lobbying services, your millage rates are going to be under attack. There's 2 bills currently being floated in the Senate that would reduce your homestead exemption rise and run from the 3% annual to the 2%, cutting your annual evaluation by 1/3. So achieving sustainable funding sources is a very healthy goal to have. I like that sentence because it does not lock you into one particular funding vehicle. You have options to pursue as your policy moving forward. Goal number 3, agree, we've been a little redundant there, utilizing our highly trained staff. Perhaps you don't want to use staff for that. Perhaps you have too much capacity or too little capacity to address this issue internally. Maybe you need to bring a contractor on. So perhaps we need to not be so limiting in that statement. That's an easy wordsmithing if it is the consensus of the board to make that change. And then the last goal, embracing environmental challenges. Embracing can mean different things to different people. Again, if it's consent and the will of this board that you want to see some more language added to further describe what embracing means, then absolutely, as your consultant, I'll work with your staff to refine that and include it in the final draft.
But that is your purview today, is to refine, sharpen the edge of the knife, so to speak, from the tools that we had developed on that focus group 2-day affair, noting and recognizing the hard work that focus group did. The other amendments, they're simple changes that were made completely. I think we had already talked about including the list of the focus group, the stakeholders that were involved, as an appendix item, so that folks can see where did we start, where did we end, how did we do this. And I believe there's a very healthy list of appendices that are being provided, including photos of the day, copies of the actual workshop materials. So hopefully we are very close. I think these discussion points have merit, and I yield back to the chair for your discussion. But as your consultant, I would look for formal either direction by motion, which I think is a little too much, but at least give some sort of consensus from the board to make these changes would be very helpful. That way we know going into the February 14th meeting, we're sitting on good standing with the board, that we've done the will of the board, as opposed to maybe the opinions of one individual member or not, to be fair.
All right, let's start at the beginning, and is everybody comfortable changing have to has, which is a grammatical change?
Yes.
All right, my key community stakeholders. I think that, and I'm glad to hear that there will be an appendix detailing who were the stakeholders, so that would address that. And then, all right, so, we're on to, would everybody be, and I completely understand that our operations are more than service delivery agents. I recognize that that was not intended to slur service delivery agents, but I don't think that that sentence adds anything to the document.
Where is that?
We're under core values, teamwork. So the bottom of
Okay.
the second to the last page.
So what would you recommend?
Just strike what comes before the semicolon. And then it would say, we are a team of dedicated individuals committed to providing the highest quality experiences. I would say service, but to our internal and external stakeholders.
So just strike our operations are more than service to the agents. I'm okay with that.
Achieves,
I'm sure we did not address item 4, the vision statement, those two changes that you had highlighted.
Oh, I apologize.
Embracing our environment, quality
Thank
of
you.
life. Thank you.
yeah, so the vision statement, and I apologize, I had a prior commitment in the late afternoon on Friday that I had let everyone know of, and then I had a family emergency on Saturday, on Thursday, so I did miss some of the workshop. And then I recognize this is the statement that was the result of the group, and if my colleagues think that that is a wise way to portray the vision for this organization, I'm fine with that. But since this board's role is to review what came out of the workshop, I wanted to express my concerns. And I do wonder if OPAGA, how that statement would resonate with those reviewers.
So,
What would be an alternative?
yes, that's.
Well, embracing our environment, I I'm not sure that a lot of folks would know what that meant. And I know that some people didn't like, protecting our environment or stewarding our environment. Those were other terms that were considered in the workshop. I would have, and I think I might have even come up with the embracing, but reading it now was like, no.
Well, don't feel bad, I think it's I like it.
You like it? Okay.
Yeah, I think because it's not by design to be vague, but it's trying to be more all-encompassing, because we have issues that everything from climate change, sea level rise, to the new varieties of mosquito species that could, be, so it's a bit of a catch-all, and I look at it as this is a vision statement. By design, it's to be more of a, I don't want to say aspirational type of thing, but that it's what you want to be. And so embracing our environment and quality of life, I think, are two things that, and we spent, as we talked about, it was we went over this at length in the meetings. I think the vision statement is good. I think it captures what we discussed in our workshop, and so I'm open to if there's a difference, I'm willing to listen, but this was put together over 2 days, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. That's my 2 cents.
Doesn't sound bad.
Okay, well, yep.
It is repeated in the mission statement, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we talked about that in there too, that, the vision is, I don't want to steal your thunder, why don't I let you,
Yeah.
you're the pro.
So, the way you approach, at least the way I've been trained, the way I've done multiple vision mission statements over my career, your vision statement, if you can envision an upside down triangle, your vision statement is going to be that largest base. It's aspirational, it's the most widest and biggest breadth and width of what you're trying to accomplish. Your mission statement gets a little bit more narrow into how you're going to do that with a little bit more detail. So it is not uncommon for there to be redundancies between the vision and the mission. In fact, one might say that is a proof in the pudding, that you're really doing your mission to accomplish your vision. And then as you get into your core values, this is how we're going to conduct our business that's consistent with vision, mission, and then ultimately down to the point of your goals, which is where you are sitting as the policy-making, goal-making body of the Indian River Control District representing the electorate. Ultimately, the staff then looks at that point and saying, okay, we need to build objectives to have to achieve that point. That those goals are the point we're trying to get through to achieve the mission and vision. So I hope that analogy helps explain it. Redundancy is not bad between the two instruments. In fact, I like to see where clients adopt it because it shows the integrated approach between vision and mission and then not disjointed. Could we break out the thesaurus and choose different language? Absolutely, if that's the will of the board. Otherwise, as your facilitator, an unsolicited opinion is that I feel there's a strong correlation between your vision and mission as proposed.
Thank you.
All right, so I think there is consensus for keeping the vision statement as it is. And then under goal number 1 of strategic goals, achieve sustainable funding sources. Does our enabling legislation allow us to set up impact fees?
I don't recall that it has that language in it.
And given the controversy over impact fees in this county.
Right. For clarification for the record, that was just an example as an alternative funding that might be available to you, not that you would pursue those particular types of issues.
Okay, so I guess we're comfortable with goal number 1. Goal number 3, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought there was consensus for ending the sentence and community outreach period. Is that-
Striking the utilizing our highly trained staff.
Yes.
I'm okay with that.
I think there was a desire for highly trained staff and and the fact that we do have a lot of experience being in there somewhere.
Yeah, but that's,
But I don't know,
I think that's under, opportunities. There is verbiage about highly trained staff. And I think the idea here, is utilizing our highly trained staff, does not allow for, or it does not allow for contractors, it limits it to staff.
oh, I see what you're saying, other than.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair Bode, I couldn't agree more. I think the amendment is a solid amendment, it's not limiting. So, and you want to be able to have flexibility in your decision-making processes.
No, I think we all agree, that we have a highly trained staff. And then I guess embrace environmental challenges. This verbiage.
Yeah, that's near and dear to me.
All right, okay, so, do I hear, in addition to the motion to, accept the changes that we discussed?
Yes, I'll move that we approve the 5-year strategic plan draft, including the amendments that we, I don't know if we need to go back to them, I think you've got them, okay, that we discussed and agreed upon.
All right, all in favor?
May I ask for an additional motion, Madam Chair?
Sure.
Just officially as your contractor, it would be very helpful if you go ahead and authorize your staff to work with me on phase 3 and developing the objectives. So that would be a motion to direct your executive director to move forward with staff to develop the objectives as related to the draft goals that you have just approved.
I'll make the motion for the director and staff to work with C4 strategies to develop the objectives of the 5-year strategic plan.
Correct, sir. Thank you.
Second.
Yes, you do.
I looked up 388
Mhm.
in relation to your question, and it says, it's talking about the budget, and it's saying, that the net balance to be on hand at the beginning of the fiscal year on an estimated amount to be raised by district taxes and from any and all other sources before meeting the district's requirements. So yes, you do impact these.
That's 3, but what,
That's 388.
that's 388.
Sorry.
All right. So, you were making a motion to direct staff.
He made the motion and Anna had seconded the
Okay.
motion.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. All right, compensation study.
And this is more of an update. The agreement has been executed and staff have met virtually with the contractor and they're gathering the requested data for commencement of the compensation study.
All right, moving on. Any other old business? Moving on to new business. So that's going to be chemical bid award.
Yes, ma'am. The single brew BTI item was not awarded at the previous meeting and was re-advertised. Staff is recommending award of the single brew BTI to Adapco, who is the sole respondent.
Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the tax bid for Adapco.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. All right, any other new business? Moving on to the director's report.
Sorry, Commissioner Spahn.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Spahn.
Yeah, and we just needed to note for documentation purposes that the district has secured for the bond for Commissioner Kirkland.
Thank you. All right, now director's report.
Yes, the employee policy manual has been forwarded to legal for review and comment. On Hurricane Nicole damages, staff has requested FEMA's public assistant for hurricane damages, and the application is being processed. Peter Zhang is our new Director of Scientific Programs, and will be starting on February 6th. There's no arboviral activity within the district for the month of December. And to streamline the board meetings, the Operations and Science Review provided in hard copy, and the senior staff are available to answer any questions that anyone may have regarding operations. We will update on any hot topic or any item of what the daily operational, and we have provided that in a hard copy. Staff will be also incorporating the outreach events into the upcoming meeting and events portion of the agenda. So that will be documented on there, so it will carry forward. And that's all I have for the director's report.
Any questions? Okay, moving on to commissioners' comments.
I have none.
All right, and then upcoming meetings and events.
Yes, and this is becoming a lengthy meeting, a lengthy list of activities, because this is our time period that training and events are occurring. The fly-in is starting tomorrow, January 11th through the 13th. The blood bus is going to be here on January 12th from 10 to 1. The Florida Association of Special Districts quarterly meeting is in Jacksonville, January 12th through the 13th. FMCA, Florida Mosquito Control Association, Dodge short courses are going to be held from January 29th through to February 2nd. We have an outreach event, which is a family fun fest at the IG Center on February 4th from 10 to 2. The AMCA annual meeting in Reno is February 27th to March 3rd. The Florida Association of Special Districts is having a Special Districts Day in Tallahassee on March 9th. FMCA is having the Tallahassee Days from March 20th through 21st. The University of Florida has aquatic short courses in Orlando, May 15th through the 18th. AMCA is American Mosquito Control Association, is having their Washington Conference, May 17th through the 18th. The Florida Association of Special Districts has their annual meeting in Orlando on June 12th through the 15th, and the FMCA's annual meeting in November is in Port Charlotte from November 13th to 16th. And I added those so that those of you that need to request for leaves of work or absences can put them on the calendar. And that's all I have.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.